Hi there guys, I would like to present to you the Zao. For anyone looking to know how to play the Zao successfully. It's a very strong ship. It's got some trolley armor from time to time, but if you present too much broadside, this ship will get punished. One of the biggest strengths of the ship that it is reasonably maneuverable. It's got a very high fire chance on its main battery guns. It's got a very low concealment, and if you equip the 12-kilometer torpedoes, you've got some stealth torping capability available to you. So one of the first things that I would like to point out in this game is that the team composition. There is no carrier, and as you can see, I didn't exactly come into this with a complete clan build, mainly because in Clan Wars I would be coming in with hydroacoustic search and not with defensive fire, but because I know that this is a random game that I'm supposed to be showing off my clan built Zao off, I just substituted the hydroacoustics with defensive fire just in case there may be a carrier in the game. Now, as you can notice here, my initial plan was to try and set up my ship past this island so that I can help shoot at a possible destroyer that the Kitakaze might spot. But because of this Donskoy coming into the equation here, I had to jump on the brakes, not knowing where he's going to go to, and it halted my progress completely. So now I was stuck in a position, do I pop my plane and shoot at the Musashi, or do I shoot at the Tashkent that then got spotted? But I can't, because as you can see there, I would have shot into an island if I did. So I just decided to let go of my shells on the Musashi. Now, as you can see, first mistake on my account was that I had AP loaded from the previous battle and I didn't notice that. So I'm shooting AP at an angled Musashi. Not good, only 540 damage. But I was hoping to try and get a salvo off on the Tashkent, to maybe just help out in destroying the little bugger. But he jumped on the brakes and missed all my shells. Now, here's a very good example of what can be done when you do decide to shoot at turning ships and you've got a plane up in the air. Shoot where you think the ship will be a few seconds later, and shoot on its current trajectory. And how many shells did I land on him? 6 of them. And I set to fire. So as you can see, it's ticking away merrily. And here's one of the things that you can also pick up what I'm doing. My concealment range is currently in the middle of the cap. No DD going in there is going to spot me initially. And if I stop shooting now and a DD does go in there, I'm going to get plenty of warning that a destroyer is inside that cap before he spots me. While I'm shooting, ships will spot me, yes, but this is where I'm making use of my my movement modules, the propulsion module that you can equip on this ship, and I'm angling my butt towards the enemy. So at this point in time, I still haven't been hit by any main battery shells, yet I've seen 183,000 potential damage in my direction. Yeah, one salvo on the Neptune. Tried to get myself behind the island and immediately loaded AP on the reload, trying to punish him for being broadside inside that cap. That was a very stupid play from the Neptune. Too many ships around, way too early to put your ship in a position like that. Double Citadel, easy kill for the Donskoy. As you can see, I'm still backing up now. I'm playing around, going forward, going backwards, going forward, going backwards, but staying at range. Now no one spots me, even though everyone could have spotted me because of the Tashkent that was in and around the cap. More shells flying around me and still nothing has hit me. I've got HE loaded again, just in case a target presents itself. My thought pattern at this point in time was, I can stay at this range or I can push in a little bit closer, but just get some clear water in and around me so that if I need to turn, if I do see someone targeting me, then at least I can disengage, turn around, kite and shoot from behind. Right now everyone is behind islands, except for possibly the Tashkent, hence the reason that I'm currently still being spotted. Musashi incoming. Try and set a fire on him as well. I've got I had a couple of successful salvos on the Yamato, but he's burning merrily anyway. And as you can see, my nose is pointed away from the target. Completely away from it. AP loaded. Now that I've got a fire on the Musashi. Just wanting to see what kind of damage can be done with an AP salvo on him from this range. 17 kilometers. Hold on to your hats, boys and girls. $11,500. That was a big paddling. Now, I didn't have any hope of the salvo really hitting because I noticed how close the torpedoes was to the battleship. And what they tend to do when torpedoes get that close is they turn in. So I probably should have held on to my shells there just in case. Musashi ate a couple of torpedoes, but he's got a really good torpedo belt, so he could have eaten one or two there and still survived. He only had one fire, so he didn't have to put the fire out. Once he got nailed with the torpedoes, he had to put everything out. So I know his damage control is currently on cooldown. I have to target him. I don't have to shoot at any other targets except that Musashi. Get his 460mm guns out of the game, and we are at an advantage. All I need is one fire to stick and a little bit of alpha damage from these shells, and I managed to get 2 fires to stick and a little bit more alpha damage, and he's going to go down beautifully. Torpedoes in front of me. I know that I'm probably not going to eat any of them, and there really is only one ship that could realistically hit me at this range, and that is the Yamato. But I don't want to venture a shot on him just yet, until I'm pretty sure the Baltimore is in a position where he can't lob shells at me. Yamato coming to a stop. Want to get a few more fires burning on him before I disappear. Not targeting me at all. And as you'll notice, only damage I've got so far is from the damage of bumping into friendlies early on, whereas I have seen potential damage of almost 400,000 at this point, because I never sit still in this ship, always moving around. Now I can see the guns is starting to point slightly in my direction, so I need to maybe move, get the nose in, mitigate whatever I can mitigate. So who's next? There's a Baltimore behind there, but he's actively sailing away from this. Stationary turrets, and as we all know, German battleships burn nicely. Sitting broadside, so I'm expecting a nice alpha strike. 5,800. And a fire. Just show me your nose, Yami. Just a little bit of your nose. Nothing really on the right hand flank that's bothering me too much, so I'm turning in towards B to try and help, you know, my teammates there. Oh, and that Baltimore duked it nicely. And this is where I'm thinking, let's load AP and let's try and see if I can't get a broadside shot on that Yamato, because it looks as if he's just going to sit there stationary. But then one of my friendlies knocked the snot out of him. At this point in time, before the Yamato went down, as you can see, my RPF, and this is why the RPF is such a fantastic skill for clan battles, you'll be able to tell where your closest possible targets are. I didn't particularly take notice of where the Tashkent might be at this point in time. But watch what happens the moment that Yamato goes down. Boop! RPF jumps towards the right. That means at that point in time when that Yamato went down at about 10 kilometers, there is a ship just outside 10 kilometers on my right that is closer to me than what the Hindenburg, the Baltimore and the Musashi is. The only logical ship considering where the Tirpitz is on the map is the Tashkent, which means he is coming towards the sea cap. So I'm expecting him at any moment to come into that cap. So I don't necessarily want to show too much of myself, but I also know that if I don't get ready for a possible fight with the Tashkent, the battleship, the Massachusetts, is not necessarily going to have the tools to negate the Tashkent at that point in time, and it looks as if our Kitakaze is going to be sailing away. So I wanted to show myself, but at the same time be safe. So let's move forward now again. As you can see, I've got my guns trained on the Baltimore right now, and I'm not too worried about the ships on my left. I'm more worried about that RPF that is very sharp towards my right. And wait for it, any minute now, the sea cap's going to get lit up. We know he's directly on my right hand side. And there it goes. Tashkent in the cap. He's going to spot me any minute now. There he spots me and we spot him in return. So I'm turning my nose away from him, minimizing my profile for any possible torpedoes coming in this direction. I do not have hydro, but I want to stay in the open so that I can actually finish off the Tashkent. Nose pointed at the ships in front of us. Tashkent trying to dodge ships shooting from behind, trying to get him out of the way. That was a big salvo. I'm now in B cap, contributing to the capture of B cap. Nothing really shooting in this direction. Island in front of me. All I'm focused on is getting that Tashkent out. Now, one thing that I want to point out here is, and I'm going to pause right here. Have a look at where my crosshair is pointed by looking at the minimap. I do not have, at this point in time, I do not have a spotter plane up that I can use to aim at the Tashkent. But I also know that I only need to hit this Tashkent with 1 or maybe 2 shells in order to kill him. So all I need to do is not to aim too high or too low over that island. I need to wait until that little island icon next to my crosshair disappears and that my crosshair is in line with the direction that Tashkent is moving in, leading him by about 10 kilometers while he's 8 kilometers away. This thing moves at the rate of knots, that Tashkent. So have a look and see when I let go of my shell. The moment that island icon disappears next to my shells and he's still moving in that line, I quickly adjust my aim to be in line with the direction that he's moving in, and then I'm shooting. And that's it. Murder she wrote. I eat one torp, but again, I wasn't too concerned about it. I could eat one. I was angled enough to only eat one if I needed to dodge them. And from this point in time, it's just trying to stay concealed and shoot at big battleships. Quickly having a look at the Shimakaze. Don't see him, in any position whatsoever to spot me. Nothing can spot me in this position that I'm sitting in right now. So that little gap in between the islands is perfect for me to lob my shells over and into the Musashi. That's all I'm concerned about at this point in time. Stay in the cap, run out the clock, do as much damage as I possibly can. This is a win regardless. Now let's have a look at the battle stats. As you can see here, I've done 139,000 damage. You can round it off to 140 if you have to. So it's not a spectacular game, but it was a good game. You know, 2 kills, and I would say it's 2 reasonably good kills. And then it was the kind of kill which needed to have presence of mind. You know, if you don't have the presence of mind to set a fire on a target that was recently torpedoed, you're going to let that Musashi go. And he's going to heal up. And he's got 460mm guns with which he can one-shot your friendly cruisers. If you let that Tashkent go, he can find an island in the late game and he can spam his HE over it and he can literally destroy near-dead ships on your team without too much effort. You absolutely have to take those shots when it's presented to you. The thing that helped me a lot in this game to know where certain ships are and how to play it properly was the RPF captain skill, as well as my propulsion mod that I've got installed on the ship. Over here again, you know, if you have to take a look at my second result screen, it's an average game. It's 1,500 XP, 2 kills. Nothing spectacular, no plane shot out of the sky. It is a run-of-the-mill game, but I stayed safe, I took my shots, and I angled, and I actively maneuvered to dodge incoming shells. It's something that you have to take into account when you go out there with a Zao. The moment you tunnel vision, and the moment you spend too much time broadsiding, not varying your speed actively, you will get chunked very badly. And sometimes it can mean the end of your game. Because the only reason I could physically do that as confidently as I did was because I had 40,000 health. If I was on 10,000 health, I would have had to play at maximum range for most of the game just to see the end of the game. Sometimes when you get down to about 3,000 or 4,000 health, sometimes it's so bad that you absolutely can't engage anyone, because in cases like that, it's better for you to just disappear and go and spend 2 minutes elsewhere and heal up. Take your guns out of the game completely rather than give the enemy the point swing that comes from sinking you. So it is so crucial that you keep as much as possible of your HP intact for as long as possible. If you can see the end of a game, you would have had a much larger time frame in which to stamp your own authority on the game. If you die early, even if you did 100,000 damage, your job is not done. It was never done. Because you can do 100,000 damage quickly in 3 minutes, and then what? Then you die, and you deprive you and the team of another 100,000 damage you could have done. You need to maximize every single game that you play. It doesn't mean that you need to be on the border somewhere. It doesn't mean that you need to fire from the J line or from the 1-2 line. It doesn't mean that you need to be a sniper from the back. All it means is maneuver actively, leave 1 or 2 definite targets inside your range that you can hit. Make use of island cover when and wherever you can in order to get free shots in on ships, and make sure that you never ever sit completely still. Move forwards, move backwards, make use of terrain and smoke screens and just general carnage around you. Make use of the knowledge that you get from who is shooting at whom. You know, when last a certain ship is fired, how much time do you have to turn your ship around? Are you sailing into the teeth of the enemy without even noticing it? Be aware of your surroundings. If you do that in a ship like the Zao and the Hindenburg, it'll serve you extremely well, because you, especially in the early game, you play the Hindenburg and the Zao pretty much the same. It's only in the late game where you'll notice that if the Hindenburg is still reasonably full health, it becomes extremely cocky, sails in straight lines at big ass capital ships, and will take them out with torpedoes, which the Zao unfortunately can't do. It can't tank that kind of damage. But more often than not, if you play the way that I did now, your damage numbers will steadily increase, your aim might actually get better over time, and you will see more ends of battles than you would have up until this point in time. So, excuse the name at the top there, this is my EU account. This is where I've played that Zao game. I'm just quickly going to show you, the ins and outs of the captain that I've got on here. I don't have a 19-point captain on here at the moment. It's a newish account. Didn't have the opportunity to get it up as high as 19 points. But what I did do was distribute the 17 that I do have in a way that it could be beneficial for clan battles. As you can see, I didn't pick any skills over here that would assist in clearing enemy planes, because in clan battles it just doesn't mean anything. It's wasted points. So what I ended with was preventative maintenance, as you can see over here, adrenaline rush, which will increase the speed at which your main battery guns will reload, as well as your torpedoes, and then the increased fire chance that I get from Demolition Expert. And because it's clan battles, adding another 3,500 health to my ship is always a good thing. At the range at which you are looking to engage most ships, you are probably not going to get a great benefit from basics of survivability, which reduces the time of your fire extinguishing and recovery from flooding and time of repair and all that nonsense. You can go with it. It's not a bad skill to take, and you could theoretically also take Superintendent, but I have never found myself in clan battles going through more than 3 consumables. Games tend to last anywhere between 8 to 10, maybe 11 or 12 minutes, and in that time you're maybe going to find yourself engaging the enemy between 5 and 6 minutes. So I only ever really have seen me use maybe 3 consumables. And as this is a clan battle build, I didn't see the need to take Superintendent. And then I went with Concealment Expert and RPF. Concealment Expert to provide you with that nice little buffer between your concealment of 9 point something versus your 12-kilometer torpedoes, and then your and then RPF, which I've shown you in this video how useful it can be to determine where the closest possible target to you should be and where your guns should be pointed. With regards to ship modules and upgrades, I would swap out defensive fire with hydroacoustics for clan battles, and obviously keep my 12-kilometer torpedoes to keep the enemy at arm's length. I went with main armaments mod 1, which just increases the survivability and lessens the repair time of your main batteries and torpedo tubes. I also went with damage control systems 1, which just reduces the risk of catching fire and flooding. Aiming systems mod 1, which tightens your dispersion when shooting at range. I went with propulsion mod 2, which literally gives you a nice little boost when accelerating from a stationary position. And I went with concealment system. Well, that's a big non-negotiable. You have to take that one. And then I went with the main battery firing range, so that in the event that my spotter plane is not available to give me that extra range that I require to burn targets at range, that I can do it with this specific skill. It basically increases my range from, I think, a 17 point something to about 18.8 kilometers. And then you add to that the spotter plane, which adds another 20% to that, and all of a sudden you can shoot well over 20 kilometers. And with reasonably accurate guns, with flat trajectories, you'll find yourself setting a lot of targets on fire at these ranges. And it's a big buffer between your main battery range and your concealment range, which allows you plenty of time and space to disengage if you have to get rid of fires, flooding, repair up a little bit, that sort of thing. It really is a ship that is built to survive if you know how to play it properly. Now, as you can see in this specific instance, I never had my camo on in the previous game, so my concealment was actually above 10 kilometers. But I'm going to show you what the concealment is like when the camo is on. It's only 9.9. So, very stealthy. Probably one of the stealthiest cruisers in the game, apart from the Minotaur. It really packs a punch, as you could have seen with that AP salvo on the broadsiding Musashi, which I hit for 11,500. So that's the Zao in a nutshell, boys and girls. Have fun out there, and don't do what I wouldn't.